Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica. No, you're not seeing double, even though you definitely are, if you know what I mean. That is because I have another video, because RPCS3 has updated yet again and again and again. It literally seems like 2026 is the year of PlayStation 3 emulation, and the RPCS3 team basically seems to not be able to sit still when it comes to updating their actual emulator. So it's a real we're going to have our cake and eat it too situation, if you know what I mean. But all jokes aside, I like to have a little fun now and then with some wordplay. But honestly, RPCS3 keeps getting better and better, and I am blown away by just how far it's come in 2026. And if you missed the previous video on some of the big updates, as far as actually the SPU being improved and pattern recognition, I will leave a link in the description below. Just be aware that the most recent version of RPCS3 is going to run smoother on basically every system that it runs on, and that is absolutely a massive thing. But there are a lot more improvements that the RPCS3 team has rolled out, including move support, at least rudimentarily, and it's one of those things I absolutely love to see all of the different improvements. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But honestly, we all know the PlayStation 3 was a very complicated piece of hardware with its cell-based processor, so the fact that this even works in and of itself, and let alone works better than real PS3 hardware if you have a decent rig, is absolutely mind-blowing. And a lot of the updates we're getting here right now are going to be quality of life improvements to run games faster, better, more efficiently, and just easier. Because at the end of the day, all you want emulation to do is get you into a game and start playing it like you were playing real hardware without really thinking about what you're doing in the back end. So this is definitely going to be a feature-filled video, and it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to talking about, because I can't believe just how far they pushed this thing, and I can't wait to see where RPCS3 goes for the rest of 2026, because I feel like at the rate that they're actually updating things, we'll have a 100% complete PS3 emulator in like 2 days from now. And if you can't tell that is clearly a joke, that's not when I think it's going to be done. And I love the RPCS3 even reference this when they say some people say that they update too often, and they said that they can take a break for about 5 minutes. I'm not sure if they got a little bit extra motivation, more members of the team, or what, but they're just absolutely cooking when it comes to this stuff. Now you'll see here the RPCS3 now supports loading encrypted ISO games, so all you need to do is dump your disk as well as the key, and then you can run it without having to have that fully unpacked folder for a PlayStation 3 game, and that definitely makes a big difference and just adds to the overall compatibility of RPCS3, not only in the games it runs category, but in the way it can actually run the games. I know it doesn't sound like a massive update, but trust me, for the future, this is absolutely going to be amazing, because I just want to take a PlayStation 3 game off my shelf and run it in RPCS3 after I finish dumping it, and that's always a fun time. Additionally, you're going to see that there is some move support coming in as well, and right now Just Dance 3 is going to be the first in the series that's playable on PlayStation 3. Now, I have two big admissions to make. One, I do not like rhythm games, as I absolutely have no rhythm, so this isn't something I ever play, even though I've seen a bunch of people play it at game nights. But the big admission is, the graphical stylings of Just Dance absolutely creep me out. I don't know if it's the pure white faces and weird facial expressions. I always get the impression it's the Joker from Batman just dancing his heart out. I don't know what it is. It's always just looked a little bit strange to me. But even if I don't like Just Dance, I absolutely love PlayStation Move, and I have like 4 different controllers here for different like-kind games that are exclusive to the PlayStation 3, and that is absolutely incredible as well, because you can use a mouse, and I use Gun for IR when I actually play around with RPCS3, but having move support come in, at least preliminarily, that is going to be a big deal as well. It was definitely a fun idea that PlayStation had to kind of try to compete with the Nintendo Wii when motion controls and pointing at your screen were all the rage, and still to this day, the House of the Dead 4 on PlayStation 3, an absolutely amazing version, and one that I play probably once a year. So if I could use my move controls here, play around with some of that support, I would absolutely do that, because even though Move wasn't really successful for PlayStation as far as what they wanted it to be, I still love it. I love that RPCS3 is bringing it in. Additionally, not only did they announce the ISO loading, but they basically directly afterwards announced that they had made it even faster, and that really is the insane thing about RPCS3 in 2026. They barely even get done announcing an improvement, and then suddenly they either have a new improvement or something even better in the pipeline. They're just basically speedrunning PlayStation 3 emulation. Let's do the first 2 soundtrack samples and come back. I got a lot more updates to talk about and what I want to see happen in the future.
In her unrelenting pursuit of justice.
Are you ready to die?
What an imbecile.
Battle 1. Fight!
Oh!
Battle 2. Fight!
I mean, we're definitely looking towards a bright future for PlayStation 3 emulation because given the choice between playing Soul Calibur on real PlayStation 3 hardware or via RPCS3, I'm picking emulation every day of the week and twice on Sunday because it just works that much better and at a higher resolution, and it really is a ton of fun. And per the previous video, there's been a lot of graphical improvements as well around the edges, and that's something that we're seeing because obviously we want a lot of these games to run better, and the reality situation is RPCS3 is an insanely amazing emulator, but of course it isn't a complete development yet. So for every game that's going to run better or run perfectly, there's definitely still games that can have some graphical glitches. So obviously we're seeing a lot of improvements and we will continue to see them in 2026, but don't think this emulator is some sort of magic bullet that's going to run everything perfectly. And in one of the smaller changes, but one that I think is definitely good for quality of life, you can reorder all the columns in your game list, because if you're like me, you're going to have an external hard drive with some of your favorite PlayStation 3 games that work on RPCS3, so you can play them anytime you want to. And even if it is a small change, it's a great quality of life improvement because you can organize these however you want, by compatibility, by name, by category, even by how much space they actually take up on your hard drive. Because if you're running into a situation where that hard drive is getting full and you're thinking to yourself, I want to pop a few more games on, but I want to get rid of some stuff I haven't played in a while, which one is the biggest of them all, you can actually do that, and that definitely is a nice little creature comfort that I think a lot of people are going to enjoy. And that really is the thing about RPCS3. They're not just trying to improve the actual emulation, even though that is the most important goal, they're trying to improve the experience as well. But the reality is the experience is already absolutely stunning in games where it's working 100%. Something like Virtual Fighter here, absolutely 10 out of 10 on RPCS3, and it probably would be the de facto way I would play the game if they didn't re-release it for modern consoles. But just remember, before you start emulating anything on RPCS3, go to the compatibility wiki and check to make sure that the game actually runs. Some games are basically perfect or even better than the original hardware, some games are about the same, and some games just refuse to do anything whatsoever. So just don't spend a lot of time trying to set it up for a particular game before you confirm it actually works. And you'll see here there's also been some graphical improvements, things that maybe you wouldn't notice if the RPCS3 team didn't actually show them to you. But I really love the fact that they do these up close examples so you can understand exactly how the sausage gets made, for lack of a better term. If you take a look here side by side going back and forth, that port on the back of her head has a different look. One is correct and one is incorrect, and even though it is a very small thing, that is the level of dedication that the RPCS3 team is showing for PlayStation 3 emulation, trying to fix every single graphical effect. Because if you look at that leg there, you can see definitely something going on versus not going on whatsoever. And it's one of those things, if you're just playing the game, you might not even notice that these issues actually existed. But somebody notices them, they go in and they deal with the calls to the actual hardware as far as visuals are concerned, transposing them over to a modern GPU and making everything look as accurate as possible to real PlayStation 3 hardware. Additionally, the RPCS3 team talked about some misconceptions going around as to what you actually need to run RPCS3, and I see them in the comments as well. You can't bring a potato to a party, but if you go over to the recommended tab, you're going to see it is just an Intel i5-10400. That isn't the most modern CPU out there. You can go to optimal and max performance. I'm basically somewhere between optimal and max with an i9-12900K, and I can basically run every single game better looking and at a higher resolution and frame rate than real PlayStation 3 hardware. So you've been thinking to yourself, well, I can't run RPCS3, I don't have a high enough rig. It is on their Twitter page, I will link it down in the description below, so you can decide whether or not you want to play around with PlayStation 3 emulation. With the most recent SPU updates getting even more performance on every system, if you've been kind of borderline on PlayStation 3 emulation in your system, now is the time to test it, because you might actually be surprised what you can get away with. With something like Soul Calibur here, way prettier and way more fluid than you ever got on PlayStation 3, and I absolutely love to see that. And honestly, I can't wait to see what RPCS3 has for May all the way through the end of the year, because they are absolutely just killing it when it comes to these updates. They're coming fast, they're coming often, and they're absolutely fundamentally amazing when it comes to PlayStation 3 emulation. And if you need any videos on what the best emulator for every console is, check my Emulation Night School playlist so you can find out. But short of that, we're done. We're going to keep up fighting the good emulation fight here, and I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye-bye.